I'm Sven Roden from UNILEVER, the part of the decision analysis group, and we provide internal consultancy and training and also development of probabilistic techniques for decision making. We started back in round about 2001, 2002. I actually knew of Palisade before I joined UNILEVER, and we started using some of the earlier versions of at-risk and that. But we actually just made the conscious decision to use the software when we were in a slightly different role, when we were in safety. And it was the integration of decision trees and Monte Carlo both within one package that seemed quite attractive to us, because that's the two techniques that we were mainly using. Actually, what I'm interested in, what we're as a group, what we're interested in is in making sure that UNILEVER makes high quality decisions, and what we're particularly interested in is making sure that people really think through their decisions very carefully, and that we can support them with a good quantitative analysis to make them aware of the consequences of taking one course of action over the other. It's more about engaging people's brains and making them think than it is about crunching numbers. And I have to say, when the old-fashioned way that we used to do models, I say old-fashioned, the way that we used to do models was you put your best guess into some spreadsheet model, it would spit out an answer, and then the decision makers would sit there and argue about whether or not that answer was right or wrong, and would argue about the input data. When we've actually managed to show them a range of possible outcomes, and the basis behind that range, as in look at the input variables and the uncertainty around them, then actually the conversation goes less on is the middle answer the right one, the base case, the right base case, or is it about the range, and what happens in the extremes? What happens if things go really badly? What will we do to manage that? What will we do to manage the upside? So the conversation subtly changes from arguing about is the middle number right to what do we do in the extremes, which is a much more dynamic and much more rich environment to have as a basis for decision making. If you don't try and quantify things, that unfortunately what you end up with is often a load of jargon around the table, which leads to poor communication and not uncertainty, but there's different interpretations of the meaning of a word. If you start quantifying the meanings and actually write them down as a number, then actually you have a much richer conversation about that and a lot more clarity about the thinking. We use both Monte Carlo simulation and decision trees. They are complementary to each other, and in certain situations one has an advantage over the other. Monte Carlo can obviously deal with many more variables. Trees get very bushy very quickly, but trees are better for looking at downstream decisions and a series of options going off into the future. So we always see the two tools as being very complementary to each other.